Perfect. Thank you, Asia. That was a wonderful introduction. So yes, as Asia stated, we're going to be diving deep into the correlations between both Python and Excel. So let's go ahead and hop into this journey. So the agenda for today. So we'll first initiate by introducing Orboltix. You'll be able to learn about the company and the many services that we have to offer. Next, we'll dive into Microsoft Excel and various Python functions and see how they can correlate with one another. Afterwards, we'll dive into Excel macros and correlate those to Python codes. So anyone that's looking to transition from Excel to Python, this will be your primary key here, as macros include its own form of coding. And then we'll dive deep into the data visualizations between both Excel and Python. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So, introduction to Orboltix. So, about us, who are we? What is Orboltix? So, we're a software engineering and cybersecurity company that provides both consulting services and also AI-powered software as a service products. Our overall mission is to develop a future of unity, hope, and serenity for mankind through technology. And we have many products, including the HipCompex, the Phobia, and the Goji apparatus. These are applications that are a part of our Orboltix infrastructure. Okay. So the HipCompex, this is our official video game series, which is available on Steam via demo and on iOS and Android um, in the game store. We also have our Phobia video conferencing application, which allows you to meet with absolute privacy and security. And on top of that, we have our tech store, where you can purchase computers, lab supplies, or security equipment. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive deep into the session for today. So let's go ahead and start off with Microsoft Excel versus Python functions. So Microsoft Excel versus Python functions. Both Microsoft Excel and Python utilizes functions to instantaneously complete statistical tasks. So for today, it will be more hands-on. So what we will do now is go ahead and transition over to a Microsoft Excel application and examine the functions from there. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right. So let's switch. All right, here we go, Microsoft Excel. Okay, can you all hear me? All right, wonderful. So let's go ahead and dive into the Microsoft Excel built-in functions. So with Microsoft Excel, there are a plethora of different functions that are built into the system by default. The most popular will be the sum function. The sum function is utilized to add all numbers within a column or a list within Microsoft Excel. So from here, what I'll do is go ahead and show you how you can utilize that particular sum function. So in this particular cell here, this is cell A11. If you click that here, you'll see here on the entry bar that you can type in equals and then sum. So this is the sum function. And then from here, you can choose the cells that you want. So for example, we're going to want A6 through A10. We want to get the overall sum of A6 through A10. So we'll select those. and then we'll click here, and that'll show us 15. So it's as simple as typing everything into this bar here at the top and typing in the function of your desire. So here we will want that sum function. And let's go ahead and backspace everything so you can see it live. We'll put it here. So we'll have equals sum tuple, and then we will highlight this, the cells that we want the sum of, and then we'll close the tuple, and then we will hit enter, and then we will get our overall sum there. So that'll be 15. Okay. So that is the sum function within Microsoft Excel. Microsoft Excel also has a length function. But before we go there, let's go ahead and compare the sum function from Excel to that in Python. So let's switch over to Python. So we will stop presenting here, and we will switch to Python. Oh yeah, absolutely. So if you want to access Python and work on it at your own free leisure, one thing that you can utilize is something called Google Colab. Google Colab is a free open source system where you can practice all of your Python coding at ease. So it's Google and then space Colab, COLAB, Google Colab. All right, and let's go ahead and open up this. I believe this is the tab here. Okay. So everything should be operational there. So let's go ahead and examine it from here. Okay, so here's the sum function for Python. And if it's too small, let me know, and I can try to zoom in a bit. Here we go. Is that big enough for everyone? All right, beautiful. Okay, so here we have the sum function in Python. Essentially, with this particular sum function, it can calculate the overall sum of either a list or even a column within the Python code. Here, what we have is a list. So the list that's in the brackets here. Okay, so every list within Python is within brackets. And here we only have integer values in here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We named this list number list, and we want to get the overall sum of that. So what do? We call the sum function within Python. So sum of the number list, and then that gives us the 15 value here. Okay, so it's a very simple function that you can utilize in Python that can also be utilized within Microsoft Excel as shown previously. Okay, and next, what we're going to go ahead and go over is length. So this is a function that differs between Microsoft Excel and Python. Okay, so with Python, when you call that length function, let's say on this particular list, so we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 list, it'll give us the overall length of that particular list. Now, this is with a list data type. Let's try calling this function with another data type. So we'll hit B. So B will allow you to open up another coding cell within Python on Google Colab. And we can do the length of, let's say, Apple. And that'll give us 5. So here with a string, so this is a string value in Python. So with a string value in Python, what it does is count by characters. So it counts to A, P, P, L, and E. And it gives us an overall length of 5. Okay. And there will be some cases where you will need to know the particular length of something. Let's say that you have, let's go with e-commerce. Let's say you have an e-commerce portal, and you want to get the overall length of a column, right? And let's say that that column only shows items that have sold. So that will show you the overall count of items that have sold in, let's say, a particular month. Let's say that table or data frame has only showed you the sales for, let's say, October. It'll give you that overall count of items that sold in the month of October. Okay, so that's how this can be of use within Python. Now you see here that with the string, it account by the characters. Now this would be a good time to transition back over to Excel, because Excel is very similar. Excel also counts by characters. So let's go ahead and switch back over to the Microsoft Excel so that you can see the difference between the two. So we'll stop presenting here and we'll share with Microsoft Excel. So let's go back here. Okay, so Microsoft Excel is back up. So let's go ahead and look at the difference there. So here is a table that has been created in Microsoft Excel. As you can see in this particular table, the columns have different types of values in it. So here you can see a string 1. Here you can see an integer 2. Here you can see a string 3. And then here you can see integer 4 and so forth. On this second column here is calculating the overall length of that particular value. So you're probably wondering, how did you utilize the length function in Microsoft Excel? So essentially what was done is we'll go ahead and click the cell here. We'll go back up to that entry bar and we'll type in equals length, so LEN. Then we'll use that tuple. So remember, the tuple is that many people call it parentheses, but it's this symbol here. So let me backspace a little bit. So it's that entry there. If you can see it, that there. So that's the tuple. So you do LEN tuple, and then once you do that, let's backspace this here. Okay, and then you'll select the sector that you want to get the length of, and then you can hit enter. After you do that, what you can do with Microsoft Excel is click the cell that you just entered that function in, and then on the bottom right of that particular cell, you'll see a tiny square here. Okay, there's a tiny square at the bottom right of that cell. What you can do is something called a drag down. Okay, so with that drag down, that will pretty much transfer the function that you put in that in the entry bar to the other cells that you've dragged down on. Okay, so here you can see that the length is provided with that length function in terms of characters and only characters in this particular scenario. So for 1, it gives the length of 3. So 3 characters, 2, 1 character, 4, 1 character, and 3, 5 characters, 5, 4 characters. So it shows that here only in terms of characters within Microsoft Excel. Okay. So that's a major contrast between Python. Now, again, with Python, Python is the universal coding language. So you can do almost anything with Python. It's one of the most flexible of programming languages that's out there. So that's why it's so crucial to learn Python in this day and age, because it doesn't have those limitations like Microsoft Excel. Okay. Now let's go ahead and dive into data types. So in Microsoft Excel, the primary way that you'll know if something is currently set as an integer or a string is based on positioning. Okay. So here you can see that all integers are on the right-hand side of the cell, and all strings are on the left-hand side of the cell. And remember, strings are simply text. So this is so there are some language barriers when it comes to coding. So simple things are given novel names. So text is the same as strings, integer same as number, and Boolean is same as true or false. Okay, so be wary of the language barriers when it comes to coding. Be sure to read up on all the definitions because almost everything has its own little special name, and you'll probably encounter something. You'll be like, "Oh, what is this? I've never heard of this before." But then, as soon as you Google it and figure out what it is, you'll find out you've been doing it your whole life. So be wary of the language barriers when it comes to the coding. Okay. So another cool thing that you can do in Excel. So let's go here. Let's go to the home. Here we go. So I'm going to put a number here. Let's put 20. We'll put 20 there. Okay. And what you can do is go up. So make sure you're on home. Make sure you're on that home tab on Microsoft Excel. And you can go up and you'll see something called cells near the right. Okay, so this is on the ribbon. They call this gray area here on Microsoft Excel the ribbon area. Okay, the darker area is the primary ribbon. This is where you can have all your different modules, so like developer or formulas data. But this gray area here, this is part of your home ribbon. Okay, so here you'll see cells. You want to click that format. You want to click the arrow on the format. And this is after typing in your integer. So what you want to do now is go down to format cells. This is all the way at the bottom. And here you'll see that it says number on the left. So this is showing you the data type for the number 20. An interesting thing that you can do with Microsoft Excel is change that particular number to a string or text. So you can hit text there and you can hit OK. Now you can see that 20 is to the left. Now it's text data. Okay. So this is a fun thing that you can do with Microsoft Excel. You can change the data types of integers or even strings um, directly within the system. Okay. Now, now that you've seen this with Microsoft Excel, let's go ahead and examine it with Python. So Python, this one's pretty groovy. So let's look at that. Let's switch back over. Yes, yes. So there are some cases where you can receive data from a third party. Let's say that you're consulting and someone wants to send you over a CSV file. So that's a comma separated value file. So they send you over that file, and you're like, oh, this is going to be easy. Let me go ahead and make a quick calculation on the numbers that they've provided. So you go to make a quick calculation on the numbers that have been provided, and then you start receiving errors. These errors are saying, oh, we cannot calculate this. Sometimes you'll get wrong data type, or these do not match, or these do not go together. You'll see that in some third-party data sets that the numbers are not numbers, they're strings. And you will want to resolve that. You want to make sure that all your integers are numbers so that you can actually do your calculations. So it's crucial to know how to format your integers within the data set to make sure that they are of the type integer and not of the type string, so that you can do all of your mathematical analyses. Okay, and that's just one example of why it's crucial. Once we get to the Python, I'll explain other examples of why it's so crucial to know which data type you have and why it's crucial to switch them over. Okay, so let's go ahead and transition. Stop presenting here, and let's go back to the Python. Okay. Here we are. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over the Python sector. Scroll down, and here we go, data types. So I'm going to zoom in because I know it can be kind of small. Let's zoom in. Oh yeah, definitely. So what you all are looking at right now is Google Colab. So with Google Colab, you can do all of your Python coding directly here in the system. At the top here, you'll see some text. We call this Markdown. So with Markdown, you can write in all of your text, and I'll double click it so you can see how it looks. And for headers, you'll have this hashtag here. Okay, so this will give you your big text with Markdown. Here, this is just a simple subheading, but you can also alter the size of the subheading by adding in some of the hashtags. So as you can see here, it changed size. You can add another hashtag as well. So let's add 4 of them. And then you'll see that it alters size even further. Okay. So this is Markdown. And then from there, you'll see other coding cells. Okay. So you have your Markdown cells. You'll see that symbolized as MD. MD. So those Markdown cells, they're different from your coding cells. Okay. So with the coding cells, here you'll start importing your data first. It's always crucial to import your data first before starting your coding. Okay, so you import your packages, everything that you require for your project. You'll import all of that first in the initial cell. Okay, so that'll be in your first cell. So in this particular session, we'll be using pandas. We won't be using NumPy in this particular session, but it's always crucial to import NumPy because there are cases where you will need it when dealing with pandas. And the third one is matplotlib.pyplot. That's been imported here. This one is for data visualization, which we'll be getting to very, very soon. Okay. So that was just a quick rundown of the Google Colab. If you experience any errors of any sort, it's also crucial to go to runtime and hit the restart session and run all. Okay, this will restart the kernel. We call this all a kernel. This whole thing that you see here is a kernel. So restarting session and run all, this will restart the kernel. Okay. So that was just a quick debrief of the Google Colab. So let's go ahead and get back to the data types. All right, so let's zoom in. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Okay, is this big enough for everyone? Can everyone see? All right, beautiful. So here you can see that we have our integer. So our integer here is 2024. Okay, we name it the underscore integer equals 2024. Here we're checking the type. So Python has a built-in function called type. So if you ever want to see what the type of the data value is, you just type in the function type. Okay. So you'll type in type, and then within the tuple, you'll put the value. So here we have the underscore integer put into type. Okay. Here we can see as our output that we have integer as the output. But what if we didn't want for 2024 to be an integer? What if we wanted 2024 to be a string so that we can add it to another string? Well, what you can do is have the integer repurposed. So here we have the underscore integer equals string the underscore integer. Okay, so you want to put you want to use the built-in function called string. So that's str in Python. Then you'll have your tuple. Okay, so remember this tuple here shows that it's a function. So whenever you have a word and then a tuple, that shows that it's a function. So you'll have string and then the underscore integer. Next, you'll check its type. And then you'll see that the type here is string. So now that we have that, let's try adding that to a string directly. So we can put as our primary string print actual. So is another function within Python. This will allow items to be printed out onto the output sector. Okay. So here we want to put string the me is, and then we'll have our space. And what you can do in Python is add string. So plus the underscore integer. Okay, so it should no longer be the type integer. Now it should be the type string. So let's see if this works. Enter. Beautiful. Now we have the output. The year is 2024. Okay. Now, if this was of type integer, you would get an error. So let's run this, for example. So we'll run this. And now let's try running this. Aha. See, so now you have a type error. Okay. This is what will really help you during your coding journey. Seeing these errors appear. This is what will teach you the most when you're coding, actually. Seeing what types of errors there are and trying to resolve your code from there. What a lot of people do is utilize a source called Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow is a community where coders can go to resolve all of their issues and bugs. It's a beautiful and welcoming community where you will receive help from other coders and be able to resolve majority of your issues. Okay, so here you can see that stack. And now let's go back to the Microsoft Excel so that we can check out the range function. Here. And we can go here, stop presenting. And let's go ahead and share that Microsoft Excel. Here we go. Okay, let's switch this one over. Okay, so we're back on the Excel. So let's go over the contents here. So we just went over the data types. So now let's go ahead and go over the range function in Microsoft Excel. So the range function in Microsoft Excel simply works this way. So you know how you have your mean, your median, and your mode. So the mean is your average, the median is the middle value, and then you'll have your mode value. But this range will give you the items that are at a minimum or that are at a max. Okay, so that's how it works within Microsoft Excel. So let's go ahead and look at the function here. So you have your minimum. Let's click this cell here. That's where we want to use that minimum function. And we'll have equals minimum, and then you'll have the table value. So you can click the cell that you want here. Let's backspace here. Okay, equals minimum, and then we can highlight this entire cell. All right, so we highlighted all the rows within a range sample, this particular table, a range sample. And now we're going to hit enter. And now you can see the minimum value out of all of these numbers. Here with max, you can utilize this max function. Okay. So you'll do the same thing. So you type in equals max tuple, and then you'll choose your particular cells of interest. Table. Highlight all of these, and then hit enter, and then you'll get 6 as the highest value. Okay, so that's just getting your minimum and your max. Okay, so this is just a basic statistical method. Now with Python, it's much different. With Python, oh man, it is beautiful. So let me show you the range within Python. So this one is it's much different from what you can see with the Microsoft Excel here. So let's switch over to the Python. Go back and Python. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, so so in order to get the a larger data set into Python, what you would utilize is a package called pandas. So with pandas, and we'll be going over this very soon, the pandas. So with pandas, essentially what you'll do is utilize a function called read underscore CSV. So you can upload your comma separated values data directly to Python via the read underscore CSV function. And if you have that data saved locally, what you'll do is type in PD. So PD is pandas. So remember when we showed the data that you imported at the beginning, it is imported as import pandas as PD. So you'll do PD dot read underscore CSV tuple, and then you'll put the file path within that tuple. Remember, for file paths, you want it to be a string. All file paths are strings. So you'll put that file path as a string, and then you'll run it, and then you'll have all of your data loaded directly into the system. In majority of cases, pandas will turn that data into a data frame automatically. So you don't even have to worry about transitioning it all to data frame format. Once you port it into that read underscore CSV function, it'll be automatically turned into a data frame. And again, this is another language barrier when it comes to coding. A data frame is simply a table. That's all it is. It's just a table. It just has a fancy name in coding. We call it a data frame. Okay. So let's finalize the transition here. Okay. So let's go back to the Python code. Beautiful. All right, so let's go over the range function in Python. So here, let me zoom in so that you can see. Here we go. So Python has a built-in range function. All right. So for this, we're putting it into what we call a for loop. A for loop reiterates over the code for as many times as you put in the range. So in the range, what we want is for it to reiterate over print tuple x. So this is the print function. So print x 5 times. So we're going from the range from 0 to 5. Okay, with 0 included. Okay. So this is what we call zero indexing in Python. So that's when you start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you do the overall character count, that is 5. So this is a range 0 up to 5. Okay. And then when you print it, it'll print out 5 times. Now let's see what happens if we put a 1. Okay. And then if we put a 1, we just get one value. So now we just have a 0. Let's put a 3. Now we have 0, 1, 2. Okay. And let's try something fancy here. Let's do 10, and let's go ahead and examine this by 2. Aha! Now we have it by multiples of 2. So now we have 0 to 10 and by multiples of 2. So 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. The range function in Python is very flexible and very beautiful. as you can see here. And you can make it by multiples of whatever you want. If you wanted it by multiples of 3, you can do 3. If you wanted 5, you can do 5. 6, you can also do 6, but that'll only give you 0 and 6. Let's do and 369. So it's very beautiful. It's very flexible, the range function. And it's something that you'll really want to use if you want to have a particular function reiterating multiple times, or a particular line of code reiterating multiple times. Let's say that you wanted to do some type of statistical analysis on multiple rows within a data frame. You can use this for loop to reiterate through all of those rows to get whatever types of calculations that you're looking for. Okay. So, so this range function in Python, it's going to be very handy during your coding journeys. And again, this is why it's so crucial to transition over to Python from Excel, because you can utilize such functions which have a whole bunch of flexibility and customizability on top of that. Okay. So let's go ahead and go over to the if statement. So this is something that you see a lot with Excel, the if statement. So before we go to the Python version of if statements, let's go ahead and transition over to the Excel version of the if statements. Okay. So we're gonna stop presenting here and let's go to Excel. Here we go. Excel. Okay, we're back in the Excel. So let's go ahead and scroll down here, and I'll zoom in because this is kind of tiny on the Excel. There we go. So here on A56, all right. So on A56, A is that first column, and then we have row 56. So you can see here that it says if statements in Microsoft Excel. So the case that we want to investigate here is if 4 is greater than 5. Okay, so this is something very simple. Here we have our case. Okay, so on this particular cell, A58, we put here equals if, so that's our if statement. 4 is greater than 5, so that's our Boolean. Remember, Boolean is just true or false. So 4 greater than 5. If it's true, we'll put the string 4 is greater than 5. Okay. And then we'll put a comma, and then we'll put, if it's not true, we'll have our string 4 is not greater than 5. Okay. And then our output will be yielded here on A58. So now it says 4 is not greater than 5. But let's go ahead and try something different here. Let's put 100. And we'll change that 4 to 100. And the other 4 to 100. Okay, now let's hit enter. Beautiful. Now we have the true statement, the true Boolean appearing here. So now it says 100 is greater than 5. Okay, so that's in our case of 100 being greater than 5. Okay, so that's the if statement within within Excel. You have if your case, then true, or if it's not true, then false. Okay, so that's if statement in Microsoft Excel. Now let's look at it in Python. So let's switch over to the Python and examine it from there. All right. Where's the Python? Here we go, the Python. Beautiful. Now we have the okay. So let's go ahead and go over the if statements in the Python. There we are. So with Python, let's go ahead and zoom in here. So here's Python's if statement. So we have here the same case. So we have if 4 is greater than 5, colon, print 4 is greater than 5. So we have that string. Okay. So remember we went over that print function before. We have print 4 is greater than 5 within the string. Else, so you actually write else here. So with the Microsoft Excel was different. You just had if, and then you had it within the tuple. You had your case, comma, do something if it's true, comma, do something if it's false, close tuple. Here you have if 4 is greater than 5, colon, then print, you use your print function, 4 is greater than 5. Else, you'll print 4 is less than 5. Okay. So here we'll run that. Let's go ahead and run it. And then we'll get 4 is less than 5 there. And we can even do that 100 example here as well. And we will yield the same result as previously for this particular one. So let's see. Yeah. And then we'll get 100 is greater than 5. So that's the if statement logic there. Okay. All right. So now what we're about to transition into, and this will be quite expeditious as I know that we're running low on time. But what we're about to transition into are the macros with Microsoft Excel. So the macros, this is one of the other coding sectors of Microsoft Excel. It's one of the shortcuts that you can utilize to get things done expeditiously with Microsoft Excel. So let's go ahead and transition to that quickly. I know that we're running low on time. Okay. Here's the Microsoft Excel. And Microsoft Excel. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over to the macros in Excel. All right. So with Microsoft Excel, you're probably wondering, how can I get macros up and running? So if you look at the top here on the ribbon, so remember the primary ribbon is that darker area on Microsoft Excel. If you look at the top here, you'll see developer. Okay. Everyone doesn't have developer on their Microsoft Excel. In fact, if you want to activate developer in your Microsoft Excel, you'll go to File. You'll scroll all the way down the left. You'll hit Options, and then you'll hit what is the other one at? Then you'll hit Customize Ribbon, and then you'll scroll down from there, and you'll hit Developer. Okay, so you want to be crucial to, or you want to be sure to hit that Developer button there. Okay. So that's how you get that up and running. And then when you want to have your macros activated, what you'll do is hit record macro, and then you'll start doing what you want to happen. So here, in this particular case, we have our table. So this is apples, oranges, pears. We have all of our fruits. And then we have all of the fruits that were eaten. Okay. So we have everything from the amount of apples eaten to the number of pomegranates and guava eaten. Okay. And essentially, we wanted to make it so that whenever this macro is run, we get a figure. Okay. So the figure that was acquired is the devoured figure. So you get to see the apples, the oranges, the pears, the pomegranates, everything that was devoured. And here you can see it tested. Okay. So let's go ahead and delete this. Let's delete. And let's highlight all of this. So we want this table to be our object of interest. We hit macros. Our macro that we recorded It's called figure automator. So remember, you just hit that record, you do what you got to do, and then you hit stop, and then you can just name it whatever you want. So then you'll have the figure automator, and then we will run it, and boom, now we have our figure. And so this saves you a lot of time when it comes to Microsoft Excel. Your macros are supposed to be expeditious. It's supposed to be something that saves you time. And with Python, Python also has a formula that allows you to save time, and that's what we call functions. Okay, so you can build your own functions with Python. With Microsoft Excel, you can also build your own functions in something called the VBA. VBA. The VBA is the backend for your macros. Okay, and let me see if it'll show the VBA when I click it. No, I don't think you guys can see the VBA. Let me see if I can share that screen so you can see how the VBA looks. Present something else. Where's the VBA? VBA. Yes, here it is. So you all should see the VBA. Okay, here we go. So with the VBA, here you can see the code that's in the system for the VBA. This is Excel's exclusive code. So you can see the range. So the range is A1. Remember the column is A, 1 is the row. And we want to highlight everything over to, so it's select. We want to highlight everything over to B. So B is that second column, all the way over to the 9th row, so B9. And then we hit that activate, okay? Now we'll have our active sheet, .shapes.add chart. We want that chart, that figure to be created, and then we'll hit select. And then we want to put the page that we want to get it from, okay? So we'll have active chart.set source data, source colon equals range, okay? So we're using that range function again, tuple, and then we'll put everything in parentheses within it, and we'll have the name of the Excel sheet. So that's macros in Excel tested. And then we'll have the range that we want it from. So it's A1 to B9, okay? And it's written pretty fancy in Microsoft Excel. You'll have that exclamation point, then the dollar signs around the column name, and then you'll have the row number after the fancy dollar sign and column name. Okay, so that's pretty much how the code looks for it with Microsoft Excel. All right, so now let's go over the Python iteration of it. Let's go over the Python. All right, where's the Python? Here is the Python. Okay, so we're back to the Python, and let's open this up. So with the Python, as you can see here, so this is a custom-made data frame. So we have the fruits, we have the apples in there in the list. Everything's in a list here. So these will be all of your row items. So what is currently in, you see this curly bracket here? This is what we call a dictionary and coding. All right. The first value here, fruits, this is your key. That's your key. Then you have your colon. All right. And then this list here, this entire list, all the way here to this comma, that's your value. For many of you that have been in statistics, this is called your key value pair. Okay. Key value pair. And that's what's in your dictionary. Okay. And the value here will be the fruits. And then you'll have your second column. All right. That'll be devoured. That's the key. And then the value is the numbers here. All right. And so remember with pandas, you can go ahead and create a quick data frame. So you can do pd dot data frame. Go ahead and throw that dictionary in there, and boom, you now have your column with your fruits and your devour. Okay, but we want to be fancy with this. We want to be very fancy. We want to put all this into a function. So here we have it without it being in a function. We just have plt.bar. Plt is the matplotlib.pyplot that we imported earlier. Okay. And here you want to put your x value. All right. So your x value will be the fruits. And then you want to do your y value. So that'll be the devour. Okay. And then you want to customize it. So you want your ticks to be vertical instead of horizontal so it can be pretty. You want to have your X label. So your X label will be fruits. You want to have your Y label. So your Y label will be total devoured fruits. And you also want to have your title. So that title will be uncharted lands, total devoured fruits. Okay. And you'll be able to see how many of those items were devoured here. Okay. So that's it for the macros. Okay, and this is a function that we can throw it into. So let's go ahead and throw it into a function. Say, so with Python, you put define def. We can call it quick function. Boom, and let's hit the tab. We can run it, and then let's say we want to see it. All right, there we go. So we just ran that function, and now it's called quick function. So if we were to make any changes to this data set here, all that we would do is run this function, quick function, and then we'll be able to see any changes that have been done here. All right. So that's it for the functions there. And I know that we're super low on time. We have about 1 minute left. So what we can do is go ahead and go over the next section next week. The next section will go a bit deeper into the data visualization that you see here. With that particular section, what we'll do is go deeper into pivot tables with Microsoft Excel, and also how the pivot tables created in Microsoft Excel can be translated into the pivot tables in Python. So that'll just be your data frames that you have in Python. So let's go ahead and switch back over to the primary presentation. Let's go here. Okay. So we went over the macros. So that's Microsoft Excel utilizes macros to expeditiously perform automated tasks. And then with Python, as we went over, we saw that Python can reiterate upon a set of data with created functions. Okay. So for next week, what we'll be going over is this data visualization here with Excel versus Python. We'll be looking at the pivot tables in Excel, and we'll be comparing it to the data visualization techniques and data sifting techniques in Python. Okay. Now on June 3rd, we'll be going deep into cybersecurity. So the risk management framework and assisting you with getting your certification in that. And also we'll be going deep into artificial intelligence by training you in Python from the very beginning steps. So a little bit of the stuff we went over today, all the way up to machine learning and artificial intelligence. So these are crucial skills to have in this day and age. Very, very crucial skills. If you don't have base artificial intelligence skills in this day and age, there's a chance that you could get left behind. The industry is moving immensely fast. It is moving very, very fast. And getting some artificial intelligence skills under your belt is very crucial. Okay. Right now, we're in a big transition. And many don't know this, but we're in a major transition from artificial intelligence to quantum computing. So now is the time to master as much artificial intelligence as possible before the big quantum computing boom. All right. And we'll be assisting with understanding Python, cybersecurity, and your artificial intelligence in our course this summer. So this will be our comprehensive data science and cybersecurity training course. It's a 12-week course, 24 sessions overall. You have an entire capstone project that will be completed, and you can put it on GitHub. That's your coding resume. You can show it to companies and different jobs, and you'll also get an Orboltix certificate. And also, don't forget the most important part: you'll be trained for the risk management framework. So we'll train you to a great degree, and you'll be able to then pursue your certification in the risk management framework afterwards. Okay. So that's all for this particular evening. Any questions, everyone? Hmm. Hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So there's a web platform called Kaggle. So this is Kaggle. Kaggle. Uh-huh. Yes, yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely, Velas. Yeah, and if you have any questions or concerns regarding any of the code, feel free to reach out to us. Oh, yeah. All right, beautiful. Yeah, so start on Python as soon as possible. Remember, Python is a universal coding language. In fact, SQL will be deprecated soon, according to a lot of reports. So dive as deep as possible into the Python. Learn how to sift through the databases with the Python, and also look more into big data analyses with Python. With big data, that's when you'll be analyzing tens of thousands or even millions to trillions of data points. And that's another thing that's very crucial in this day and age, especially when it comes to the artificial intelligence. All right. So that concludes today's session. Again, if anyone has any questions or concerns regarding coding, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be sure to help you swiftly. Have a blessed evening.